It was just one of those fights that had people buzzing for a couple days.
Even had your old friend Oscar jumping in saying how much he loved the fight.
Yeah. Did he say he loved the fight?
I think he said, what a great fight, but you got underpaid for it. I
Yeah.
say he gave Alex some credit, maybe not you, though.
We doing this now? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to get into this?
No.
So here we go. Go ahead and hand out the thing to them. So normally, you guys know how this works. When people, people like to push the buttons and talk about fighter pay, and you don't ever see us coming out and talking about it or doing whatever, because I don't give a shit. When I got 20-something-year-old Jake Paul, a fucking YouTuber, talking about fighter pay, or these other guys on the internet, we know what the hell we're doing over here. And at the end of the day, my philosophy is always this: it's nobody's fucking business what these fighters are making. None of these guys are under some type of gag order in their contract. Any fighter on the roster can come out and tell you guys what they make. I've said this a million times. They can come out and tell you what they make. Ask them what they make. What'd you make tonight? They can tell you. They don't tell you. You know why they don't tell you? Because they don't want you to know. I wouldn't want you to know either. But at the end of the day, I've said this a million times, we run a real business, unlike boxing. Boxing doesn't run a real business. What these guys do is every event is a going out of business sale. They're trying to get as much money as they can in the door. The two guys at the top of the card make all the money. And how many fights a year are they doing? 1, 3, 5? I'm doing 52 to 53 events a year. So one of the other things we do and why we run real business is we reinvest in the sport. Not just the business of the UFC, but we reinvest in the sport, and we built a global business over the last 20 years. We have infrastructure. We have 450 employees that we hire. A couple of years ago it was 350. We're at 450 now. UFC headquarters, Performance Institute. I found a space in Mexico City. Now we have a space that we're looking at and doing a deal for. We're going to build a PI there. We're doing Puerto Rico, Africa, and obviously we have one in China. I have offices in Brazil, London, Shanghai, and Singapore. We do all of our own production, which most sports do not. We built the Apex, which has enabled us to put on fights through the pandemic, keep everybody working. We pay for USADA drug testing, which is a massive number every year, to keep the sport safe and fair. And when you think about it, guys like Arum and De La Hoya and people like this never had the vision to do anything like this, and it's never been done. And everybody thinks they know what they're talking about, and everybody has an opinion, and I say it all the time. You know what you guys know about this sport? I shouldn't say the sport. You know what you guys know about this business? What I fucking tell you. That's what you know. That's all you know. What we've done here has never been done in the history of combat sports. And we continue to grow this thing and build the sport bigger for everybody. There's no barrier to entry. Anybody can get into this, okay? Anybody can start an MMA promotion and get going. Jump in and figure it out like I did. Figure it out, right? Now let's get into De La Hoya. And the only reason that I'm telling you this is because he is a lying, two-faced, hypocritical sack of shit. And I hate him so much that I love to prove that he's a lying, hypocritical, two-faced piece of shit. All right, so let's start. I guess we'll start with his, when he started an MMA event. Okay, he did his first MMA event. And just for the record, you guys could figure this out too and do this. This isn't some deep investigational journalism here that you couldn't have done. You guys can all look this up yourself. And so all the former UFC fighters who were on his card made more in their last bout than they did for his event. Most of them made more in multiple or all of their UFC bouts, right? So 17 of the 22 fighters got less than the starting compensation in the UFC. The guys who fought on his MMA card. Now, where I'm going with this is this asshole, every time he opens his mouth, acts like, number one, oh, you're not paying your fighters. You know, why are the fighters not being paid? And he acts like when he put on an event, like he pays more than we do or something. Yeah, you pay fucking Canelo a shitload of money, whom you couldn't even hold on to. You couldn't even keep. He fucking left you too, right? How about this? I have 650 fighters under contract. He had fucking one that mattered. He couldn't keep them. Does he still have Ryan Garcia? Yeah? All right, good for him. That'll be another 2 weeks before he fucking loses that kid, okay? 12 of the 22 fighters got got compensated less than what we pay kids on the Contender Series, okay, on that MMA event. The last time, remember the big narrative for that one was Chuck and Tito are going to make more than they ever made? Yeah. The last time Chuck Liddell made less than $250,000 in the UFC was in August of 2004 at UFC 49, okay? The last time Tito Ortiz made less than $250,000 in the UFC was February of 2005 for UFC 251. What do those have in common? They were both, and just for the record, that was when we were still $40 million in the hole. We weren't making money. We were 40 million upside down. That was the last time. After those dates came the Ultimate Fighter and everything started to change and grow, right? So think about this. Chuck Liddell, his last fight in the UFC, right? Chuck lost 5 of his last 6, right? And he still made on his last fight in the UFC 10 times more than what Oscar paid him. Okay? Tito Ortiz won 1 of his last 9 fights. Tito Ortiz's last 9 fights, he won 1. He made 12 times in the UFC for his last fight what Oscar paid him. So it's not like I'm giving you numbers, oh, Tito was the champion and this is what he made and he got a piece of pay-per-view. Chuck was the champion, he got a piece of pay-per-view. This was the last fight on their contracts after Tito won 1 of his last 9 and Chuck was 5 of his last 6 had lost, okay? So there's another fucking lie from Oscar De La Hoya. Let's get into Volkanovski. He's very concerned about Alexander Volkanovski for some fucking reason. Like he needs Oscar De La Hoya's help, right? Think about this. Oh, wait, let me get into this first. So what you've been handed, I could have brought 30 of these, okay? I brought one because it's June 9th, 2021, okay? This was a fight that just happened in June. It's a Golden Boy Promotions fight that this dickhead put on, okay? There were 9 fights, 18 fighters. The total purses paid for every fight was $36,500. Total. The average purse per fighter is $2,000 on a Golden Boy De La Hoya card. Let me start again. He's concerned about Alexander Volkanovski, okay? Before we pay $1 in fucking purse money, right? Volkanovski got paid more to wear his UFC Venom kit than Oscar De La Hoya paid the entire fucking fight card. Do you understand what I'm saying? To walk out with the Venom fight kit on, he was paid more than Oscar paid the entire fucking fight card. I could go on, but I think we all get the fucking point. He's a liar, and what his interest in talking about the UFC is, and this is the thing. Every time somebody comes out and says, oh, you don't pay your fighters, you don't pay your fighters. I could come out and do this every fuck. I'm not. I don't give a shit. You don't like the way we pay our fighters? Too fucking bad. Go start another MMA organization and you go fucking figure out how to do it. And you can pay them $10 million a fight, $30 million a fight, whatever you want to do. We run a business. We've been very good at it. Not only do we run the business, we continue to grow the sport and take everybody along with us, you know. Tonight, like Laura Sanko said, This whole Contender Series was all foreign guys that are coming in here to fight. Everybody makes money. Everybody makes a living. There are some hard stories and some sad stories. Some guy came in at this. You're either fucking good enough to be here or you're not. This is the big leagues. It's like the NFL. You can either last here or you can't last here. But people get paid. People get paid a lot of money. Any questions about this sack of shit and his lying?
Just last one. Do you ever think about maybe suing him for defamation?
Listen, I'm not suing anybody. I always say this, we all talk shit about each other, They don't like me, I don't like them, we all don't like each other. It is what it is. This is a very mean business. We say mean things about each other. You got people out there to fucking lie. If I lied the way that this fucking scumbag lies and these other guys, if I did this shit, and there's so much more on De La Hoya. He owes people money that fought for him that he hasn't paid. The list goes on and on. If I ever did imagine if I still owed a fighter money from fucking a year ago. You would crucify me on a daily basis. This guy, nobody gives a shit. And the only reason, I just despise him so bad that every time he fucking lies, I point it out. And still, people don't give a shit, If you take a look at a lot of choices this guy's made in his life. He gets away with a lot of shit.
I think just losing Canelo is probably an indictment on his ability as a promoter.
What's that?
Losing Canelo is probably an indictment on his ability as a promoter.
I said it to him yesterday, and I'll say it to him again. He accomplished a lot of great things in boxing. Outside of the ring, the guy is an absolute fucking loser. He's a liar and many other things. And I can't tell you, maybe you can tell how much I despise this human being, but that's the only reason that I'm even fucking doing this. This is it. It's the last time. I'm not going out again. I mean, last time he did it, I was on Sports Center and I laid out how he lied and facts, and then here we are again, Yet this guy keeps opening his big fucking yap. He's amazing. Some of the things that this guy's done in his fucking personal life, if that was me, I'd be living on some fucking island somewhere and nobody would ever see me again. I'd disappear. Poof. What the fuck happened to him? We know what happened to him. He got the hell out of town before he bumps into somebody.
So, Dana, just outside of Oscar, right, there has been a lot of talk on fighter pay lately, right? And the number that gets thrown out is 16 to 18% of revenue around there. I guess, can you talk about...
Is that right?
Is that accurate?
None of your business. It's none of your business how much it is. That's it. I mean, that's what people are always asking about. What about this? What about that? Listen, if you don't like how we run our business, go start your own. There is no barrier to entry to get into this sport. Anybody can do it. Many have. A lot of smart guys, too. Cuban, Trump. The list goes on and on. A lot of guys that have gotten into this business. I hear there's new guys coming now. I wish them all the best. Anybody can get into this business. If you don't like how we're running ours, you go do it yourself.
I guess the last thing I would ask on that, is that a discussion that you guys have in terms of reviewing, hey, should we be allocating more of a percentage towards our fighters, or should we increase the...
Fighter comp has gone through the roof over the last 5 years since the sale. And it's going to continue to go up. So, yeah.
Dana, since this is probably going to be the last time we're going to talk about Oscar, something that people have always wondered is the genesis of where the beef started.
Yeah. So
what started?
Yeah. So we were cool at one point. I'd go to his fights. He'd put on fights, and I would literally use my social media to talk about the fights. Hey, you watching Oscar's fight tonight? So all the things that I had done for this guy, when he was having fights and shit, then we do Mayweather versus McGregor, and this guy goes on like a PR tour telling people not to watch the fight. It was a disgrace to boxing. But he would fight Conor McGregor, right? It's not a disgrace to the sport if you fight him. It was just, I was like, first of all, I'm involved in this fight. Why would you tell people not to watch somebody's fight? What do you even care, right? What do you... I just laid out how he pays his fighters and what he does. But you're concerned about my fighter comp, right? The problem with Oscar De La Hoya is Golden Boy is fucking tanking, in my opinion. And, you know, so I don't know what the fucking, you know, the guy, I wish I could tell you, you know, he's an asshole. I mean, other than that, I don't know. And he's a liar and a lot of other things. It's not just, and that's not just my opinion. This is the second time that I've laid out facts for you. He's talking about paying fighters. He did a card in June where the entire card, total purchase was $36,500.